Greetings, Otaku Faithful. Thank you for joining me again this week. Once again, it's Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief, and I'm actually here to introduce my new favorite hero segment right here on Otaku Assemble Weekly. Now, just before I actually get into the video, I want to go ahead and I want to do a special shout out to my man ZipBlockGory, because these new segments, and I'm referring to the favorite hero and the favorite villain segments, were inspired by his characters and why I like them videos. I will most likely put an annotation to his channel right here, and I will also put a link to his channel in the description box so you guys can check out his videos. But yes, I'm a huge fan of his characters and why I like them videos. So I thought, well, maybe this would be something cool for me to do on my channel, you know. Let me discuss my favorite heroes and favorite villains of particular series. And so this week, to kick things off, I decided I'm going to go ahead and I want to do something for my Game of Thrones fans, because ever since the season ended, you know, I still talk to a few, you know, on the Facebook page and whatnot, but I don't know, I just feel the disconnect, you know? It's like, well, you know, I got so many people interested in my channel and interested into my videos because of Game of Thrones. But once the season ended, it's like a dry spell. It's like football season. It's like when football season is over, there's a dry spell until it starts up again. And, you know, the new Game of Thrones season doesn't start until next spring. So it's like, well, fuck. It's like, man, I gotta do something to keep you all interested, you know? So I decided, what better way to kick off my favorite hero and my favorite villain segment than to discuss my favorite hero and favorite villain, or at least one of my favorite heroes and one of my favorite villains from the Game of Thrones series. So this video is going to be dedicated to my nigga Ned. It's going to be dedicated to my nigga Ned. But no, in all seriousness, no. To kick off my favorite hero segment, I'm going to go ahead and I want to talk about my man, probably my all-time favorite Game of Thrones character as of Season 1, and that is Lord Eddard Stark, aka Ned Stark, Lord of Winterfell, Warden of the North, the first of his name. But yes, so pretty much, I'll go ahead and I'll apologize ahead of time if, you know, I do repeat myself for any, you know, anything that I might say in this video that I have said in my Game of Thrones reviews. Even though this video is intended to be, you know, a throwback to all of my Game of Thrones fans, it is also for anyone interested in seeing the series. So with that said, this review, well, not review, but this video is based solely off of Season 1 of Game of Thrones, which is also the first book, Game of Thrones, and there will contain spoilers in this video. So for you all who do want to check out Game of Thrones and you haven't seen it yet, you still want to check it out spoiler-free, I recommend you don't watch this video because I am going to get into some spoiler territory. But with that said, let's go ahead and let's discuss Lord Eddard Stark. Now, what is it about this character that I love so much? Number one, they got Sean Bean to portray him in the series, and I'm a huge fan of Sean Bean already. Matter of fact, just the fact that Sean Bean was in a medieval series for HBO was why I got into the series in the first place, okay? That's why I tuned in for the first place. That's what was building my anticipation for months waiting for the series. I didn't know shit about it. I didn't know it was based off of a book series. I didn't know that it had a huge fan base. I didn't know any of that stuff. All I knew was that HBO was releasing a medieval series and Sean Bean was in it. That's all I needed to know. But yes, his character, Ned Stark. What can be said about Ned? What I love about Ned so much is that, for the most part, Ned is probably, from what I can tell so far, he is probably the most straightforward and the closest to any character in the series that I can go ahead and call a protagonist. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of the characters in the Game of Thrones, well, A Song of Ice and Fire series, you know, there aren't many black and white characters. A lot of the characters are 1,000 shades of gray. I mean, shit. That's what the cast of the Game of Thrones series and the A Song of Ice and Fire book series, that's what the cast consists of. 1,000 shades of gray. But Ned was the one white that you could pull out. Because the thing I love about Ned is very honorable. Ned is very honorable, also to the point of naivety, and you know that does lead to his downfall in season 1 and in the first book, because Ned is executed, and that results, you know, that was a result of his naivety, because he believed that, you know, certain people would, you know, act a certain way and hold themselves up to a certain standard. And I mean, that's probably the most heartbreaking thing about Ned, is the fact that, you know, and I apologize for saying you know so much. It's probably because I'm speaking mostly to my Game of Thrones fans. But as we saw in the first series, as we saw in the first season, as we see in the books, Ned does expect a lot from other people, but nothing that he hasn't received in the past. And the character that is the best example of that is Robert. Robert Baratheon, who, you know, for all intents and purposes is Ned's best friend. But he kept saying at the beginning of the season, and he kept saying that, I hope Robert is the man that I once knew. He kept saying that. And that's so heartbreaking to think that, you know, that you expect so much out of a person, especially the king of the 7 kingdoms, the king of the Iron Throne, your best friend. There's so much that you would normally expect from him. But honestly, in Ned's heart, he doesn't expect him to act any differently than the young man that he once knew. And to say that his fate isn't rewarded in the end is so heartbreaking. But also there are certain things that Ned also expects from other characters. Lord Varys, Littlefinger, Robert's younger brother, Remley. I just can't help stress that enough. That's really what makes Ned such a tragic character. He was too trusting of other people. He was too trusting. But with that said, there's also one thing about Ned that I wholeheartedly love, and I shit you not, I can't express this enough. Something about this thing about Ned, that until Ned's demise was the thing that I loved about him the most. And it was the fact that Ned would never compromise his honor. You know, there's a quote that I love. It's actually from a comic book. It's anyone who's ever read or seen the Watchmen film. Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons' Watchmen, one of my all-time favorite graphic novels, and one of my all-time favorite characters who might wind up being on this favorite hero video later on in the future, and that is the character of Rorschach. And Rorschach says a quote that I'm sorry, but this is probably one of my favorite quotes that I've ever heard, period, in all of my life. And it is, never compromise, not even in the face of Armageddon. And until Ned's demise, that quote was applied to his character, because Ned said it himself, he would never compromise his honor. Never. And I'm sorry, even if that does mean that he is naive, I fucking love that. Stick to your guns, man. Stick to your fucking guns. Never compromise, not even in the face of Armageddon. And I love that about Ned. However, we did see that in Ned's final hour, he actually did compromise his honor But he did so to protect his children, which is another thing about Ned that I wholeheartedly love. And that is the fact that Ned is very family oriented. Ned, you know, has his wife Kat, has his 5 children, Robb, Sansa, Arya, Bran, and Wiccan. And then, of course, his eldest son, his bastard child, Jon Snow. Ned loves his family. You can tell, you can see it. Everything he does, honestly, is for... Everything Ned does is for his family, for his countrymen, and for the realm. And honestly, you know, Ned... There are so many... God, so many things that could be said about that man. And I want to just go ahead and throw this out here. Sean Bean did a superfluous job portraying Ned in the Game of Thrones television series. I mean, I don't think they could have picked a better actor. I really don't. If you guys can figure out any better actors, by all means, go ahead and leave it in the comments. But right now, at this present date in time, I can't think of a better actor that could have portrayed Ned. I can't think of one. You know, it was spot on. His acting was spot on. And yeah, you could go ahead and say that, well, Larry, you haven't read the first book yet, so you don't know what Ned's supposed to be in the books. How can you say that his acting, his portrayal of Ned is spot on? Because I do think that while I haven't read the first book yet, I think that what George R.R. Martin wanted to get across is this fact, that I both love and hate George R.R. Martin for this. Both love and hate him for this. Is the fact that what I think he intended to do is he wanted to create a character that the reader can immediately gravitate towards. He wanted to create, like I said, a straightforward protagonist. The man in the white hat. He wanted to create a character, a hero that the reader could rally behind, that the reader could put their faith in, and then rip him away from us to send home the message that while this is a fantasy fiction novel and book series, no one is safe. And the potential danger that occurs in the world of Westeros is real. It's a real danger. Okay? Yes, this is fiction. But there is, you know, the strong arm of reality that will bitch smack you, or rather, God smack you in the face if you do not accept that at any moment in time, you know, darkness can fall. And I think that's what Martin wanted to get across. And he did that. He did that wholeheartedly, because I'm sorry. Whether you like it or not, and I have received criticism about this in the past, my episode 9 post-show reaction, that was legitimate. I mean, you could say, oh, I over-dramatized, but I'm a very dramatic person. So, but no, that was a legit reaction. And that's because, like I said in my episode 9 reaction, in my episode 9 review, and I even recapped it in my episode 10 review, I said that while I thought that something like that could happen, I didn't think that they actually would. And what I'm saying is, of course, I'm talking about Ned's execution. I was thinking that for weeks, that yeah, they could kill off Ned. They could execute Ned. But I didn't think they'd actually go through with it. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah. You know, oh man. Well, that was my timer. I don't want to make this video too long. Like I said, I'm trying to break the habit of making the excruciatingly long vids. So that will pretty much wrap it up for my first favorite hero video segment. Guys, as always, let me know how this video went. Let me know how I did in this video. You know, constructive criticism is always well welcomed. And hey, video responses. I know I got some diehard Ned Stark fans that watch my videos. I know this for a fact. Guys, video responses. Let me know. But yeah, that'll wrap it up for this vid. what can you expect later on this week? I'm going to kick off my favorite villains video segment. And once again, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, you know, do something for you Game of Thrones fans. Because I'm going to discuss a character that, honestly, I don't think I actually did justice in my reviews with. And that is one of my favorite villains from the series. And that is Lord Tywin Lannister. We're going to talk about Tywin in the favorite villains video for this week. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do that. Because I don't think I gave Tywin the spotlight that he probably deserves. So let's go ahead and talk about good old Tywin Lannister of House Lannister. The lion who shits gold bricks. But also, guys, a very important update video, an announcement video will be out to wrap up this week's vids. As always, remind you guys about the Facebook group, facebook.com/otakuassemble, the Twitter page, twitter.com/otakuassemble, of course, the YouTube channel, and let you guys know that my image mapping on the YouTube channel's banner is working. So, guys, if you can't find me on Facebook or Twitter or Blog TV, the banner, go to the banner, click on the little buttons, it'll bring you straight to me. So, that'll do it for me this week. This is Larry Williams, the OAW Commander-in-Chief. I am signing off, and I will catch you cats later. Peace.